What's up, y'all? I'm gonna start off with a song. Now, you gotta excuse me because my singing voice is horrible, so don't judge me, all right? So, this is a song about colors, colors. You see them all around. Red on the stop sign, green on the tree, blue in the sky and the sea. I learned that song in kindergarten, and it was my first introduction to the world of color. Prior to that, I was, regular kid drawing images of like Spider-Man, Superman. And I didn't know really anything about colors until that song. So it started me noticing colors in my environment, noticing how colors got put together. And even at that young of age, I was fully immersed in the arts. Anytime arts would come up in school, I was the first one there in art class, Even if my other subjects were not, I wasn't doing the best, art was always the one subject that I would completely immerse myself in. Coming up in the 80s during the crack era, there were a lot of colors, mainly from the crack vials. But as a kid, I would see the crack vials line up and down the block, red tops, blue tops, yellow tops. And I would look at these colors, it's like, wow, obviously being such a young kid, 7, 8 years old, I'm not really understanding the effect of what those colors represent. So for me, it was like, all right, you know what? The environment I'm in, I have to figure out a way to survive, because as I grew older and certain things become more of a realization, you realize that you need a creative outlet to continue in that type of world, The thing with me is that art has always been my center, even at a time that I didn't even realize it. If I fast forward to high school, I didn't really have confidence in the colors. I would enter art contests and realize the color of my skin is what prevented me from winning certain competitions, because the judges didn't believe I did the artwork. I'm 17, 18 years old at this point, and I'm like, why am I being put through all this? Because people don't realize that I'm actually doing the work that they're saying I shouldn't have the capability of doing because of where I come from, the color of my skin, and my economic situations. Fast forward to college, right? So I'm in college, I got a partial scholarship to TCNJ. I'm a fine art major, and I'm taking this class called Color Theory and Practice. And I'm looking at it, I was like, wow, this is a cool class. They showed me a color wheel. I'd never seen a color wheel before that point. And I'm noticing like, okay, complementary colors, analogous colors. And they're showing me these different things. Okay, complementary colors, orange and blue. Oh, that's the colors I've been using because I watched the New York Knicks. Orange and blue, Analogous colors, red and orange. Wait, that's the old Atlanta Hawks jersey colors. I have been putting these colors together the entire time based on the sports that I would watch, because my goal was to play football, I was a big kid, but I was fast. 15 years old, I got hit by a car. That wasn't happening. I did a cartwheel in the air that would have made Gabby Douglas blush, So from there, everything for me was comics, comics, graffiti art. That was my passion because that was what was around me. So looking at this color wheel, realizing that this is something that I had already knew, but again, just didn't have the confidence in. So, you fast forward through college, I find out in my senior year that I'm having a daughter. Wow, holy shit, what am I gonna do? I'm 22, 23 years old. I don't even know what life really is yet, and I'm about to bring a child into this world. So on the eve of my daughter's birth, her mother complained about, she didn't feel Sierra, which is my daughter's name. She didn't feel Sierra moving. So Sierra was born that morning. Her mother was going to be induced, but Sierra came naturally that morning anyway. And she was bright purple, like a lavender purple, because her mother wasn't getting any oxygen in her placenta. Sierra was fine though. She had no health issues or anything other than severely dry skin, which after a few months dissipated. When my daughter was born was when I realized that I gotta start taking this seriously. Prior to that, I just hustled. I knew I was good at what I do. I got through college. I was, that's how I got the name Picasso Luciano. I was the dude you came to get your art homework done, So I guarantee nothing less than a B+. Knew I was talented, but I wasn't disciplined. My daughter brought that discipline. I'd rather have her see me struggle at something I love than settle for something I hate. A year or so after she's born, I quit my job, walk out mid-shift. I used to work security at Merrill Lynch. I worked security at night, part-time job, during the day working with kids. Walked out my job, sitting at home. What I'm gonna do? I want to airbrush. I could make good money airbrushing. And I did. I could make $1,000 a day doing it. Wound up registering my own business. I'm like, wow, I'm successful. Within a year, most of my clientele is gangs, all right? So I'm like, wow, colors, you know? Red for the Bloods, blue for the Crips, orange, yellow and black for the Latin Kings, or yellow and gold. Using all these colors again, but now I'm promoting a lifestyle that I'm not really too, you know, I'm feeling some type of way about because I'm working with kids, but at the same time, I'm promoting this lifestyle that centers around death. Around this time, I got back into the graffiti scene. That was my therapy. At 26 years old, I had my daughter, but I also had full custody of my niece and nephew. So I got a lot of responsibility. And from there, graffiti was my solace. I'm going out in the middle of the night, doing these walls, tagging, bombing. Tagging is your signature. Bombing is when you do like the big bubble letters, but you're trying to destroy as much as possible, right? My first crew was called MDS, Must Destroy Shit. We were around tagging up everything, right? Now, mind you, at this time, I'm already in my 20s. But again, I got so much responsibility. It was my therapy. But I got tired after a while of painting at night, you know, running from the cops, ducking all this. I'm like, man, I'm good. I want to do this in broad daylight. Trenton is polluted with abandoned buildings, dilapidated property. I'm just going to go and take it, you know. Told my crew, Vicious Styles crew, yo, let's just take these walls. Kasso, man, you crazy as hell. Ain't no way in hell we going to go out here in broad daylight and start painting graffiti. You nuts. All right. So I did it myself. I can't ask somebody to do something if I'm not willing to do it. First mural I took in broad daylight was Gandhi. I painted the image of Gandhi on the wall. Who's going to arrest me for painting Gandhi, right? So I was like, you know what? I got to make this happen. So the cops rolled up on me 3 times as I was painting. And each time they were just curious. Do you have permission? Of course I do, officer. Why would I be out here painting without permission? You know? I had my boy Enos filming the whole time, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, we had a team, you know? It's like we recorded this the whole 9. And it was like, yeah, this is it. I got away with it. I did it. But I want to do more, you know, because graffiti is addictive. So I hit up a friend of mine by the name of Love One, who's another street graffiti artist. And he came up to me, he was like, let's do this wall together. I told him about, you know, the ideas like, yo, I got this illegal wall, whatever. Love is a white guy. Love, you know, being in the neighborhoods that we painting in, Love was, he kept the cops away. I kept the hood off of him. So it was this balance, you know. I was like, he was the first person put down with SAGE. And SAGE stands for Styles Advancing Graffiti's Evolution, using graffiti methods to rebuild neighborhoods instead of destroying them. It took a few years to get that concept to burn into people's minds, and it mainly came from the way we promoted ourselves. We would do a video off of each wall. You know, we would do our best to get people engaged in the process. So instead of hiding under the veil of night in pitch blackness under canal paths and abandoned buildings, we were on Front Street. I'll bring out a boombox and play music loud as hell to draw as much attention to me as possible, because the more attention I brought to me intentionally, the less likely it looked like I was doing something illegal. I would keep paintbrushes in my back pocket, because if the cops seen you with paintbrushes, it was less threatening than a spray can, you know? So you always had to, you know, prep. The prep was everything. I would scout a wall out for weeks before I painted it, you know? And I would always tell Loved One, let me do the talking, you know, because I'm from here, I know the environment, I know what we're getting into. And again, if anything negative comes from it, I take full responsibility. By 2012, SAGE became a nonprofit organization. We got our 501c3. By this point, SAGE is way more than just a graffiti collective. We have teachers, public speakers, you name it. You know, if you're passionate about your art form, you have a home within SAGE. Was still very rugged. We still went against the status quo. There was a lot of things that we did that most people were intimidated by. Because back then, if you wanted to get down with SAGE, you had to take a wall with me. If you didn't take a wall with me, I probably couldn't trust you, you know? So taking a wall was basically going out doing a wall without sanction. Because I was like, you know your real friends are once the cops come. And if I'm going to be doing anything against the grain with anyone, then I have to know I can trust you. You know, and a few artists that came down with SAGE in the early days were willing to do that. But from there, our whole thing was bringing art to these neighborhoods that years ago we would just go in and just catch wreck. You know, we were going to try to destroy it. But wait a minute, this neighborhoods are full of abandoned buildings. People that most likely never leave these neighborhoods. Let's bring art and culture to them because that's what kept us disciplined. I looked at graffiti as more of a therapy because at the time I had so much I was dealing with. Going out in the middle of the night gave me my credibility, gave me my energy, and also it gave me respect because I was taking these risks that most wouldn't took, you know. So for me, you know, the colors in graffiti is everything. You have to be clean. Your colors have to be loud. You have to have confidence, ultimate confidence in what you're doing, or else no one will take you seriously in our world. We didn't care what the outside world thought because we were doing this for us and by us. The beauty of graffiti also is that your race, class, and gender didn't matter as long as you can rock. If you can paint, you got a home. I painted with people from all over the globe, you know, all different race, class, and genders. None of that never mattered. The only thing that can matter if you can put your colors together on this wall and you can represent, and you had to be cool, because if you was an asshole, you had no place with us, you know, no matter how talented you were. So, because again, you're risking so much. You're putting your freedom on the line. Every time I took a wall, and I took dozens of walls, I will always scout them out. They had to be in high traffic intersections, because that's how you got noticed. Most people thought at the time at our peak we had hundreds of walls up in Trenton. It was only like a dozen because the places they were placed in, you know. They were in areas where, you know, if you drive to the South Fork, you see a mural on South Broad, which is a main artery. Then you go down to Southern Street, you see another one. Then you go to Chambers, like, damn, they got murals all over the city. Yeah, you know, technically we do, but not really, you know? So because we traveled with it, we took it anywhere we could, you know, promoting our crew, our ideology, and what we're about, you know? And it was beautiful in a sense where, you know, graffiti, depending on who you talk to, is an element of hip hop. It's the first element, it's the oldest. It really depends on who you talk to because most old school graffiti writers don't necessarily employ that thought. But for me, that's how I was introduced to graffiti. With SAGE, it was graffiti in every sense. If you were a rapper, you were producing lyrical graffiti, you know? If you were a welder, you were producing sculptural graffiti, 3D graffiti, and 3D and graffiti is everything. That's how you build your letters, you know? Graffiti is an art form based around letters. So the words, we would put quotes on every wall. The words were everything because you can't expect everybody to understand exactly what your work means. Sometimes it goes over people's heads, so the quotes is what tied in those who didn't get the imagery, you know? And the kids love it, you know? The one thing with SAGE is that, you know, we go into these economically depressed neighborhoods, and you gotta look at the way these neighborhoods are set up. These neighborhoods, some of these neighborhoods are open air drug markets. You could pretty much buy anything you want, do anything you want. So you gotta employ those methods. You gotta go in slinging art like somebody going in slinging dope. But the thing about it, we ain't charging for any of it. And it is not gonna bring negativity to life, it can only bring positive aspects. You know, but then people's like, you got the graffiti artists doing social work? What? That doesn't make sense, you know? It's like how somebody who has built a reputation off of doing illegal work, doing something to bring legitimacy to these neighborhoods? You know, and I tell people, it's like, you know, if you want to relate to anyone who's going through it, then you have to have gone through at least something yourself. You can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do. It's very hard to relate to people who, you know, have been through a lot and you haven't been through anything. So you can't just look at it from a standpoint that, oh, you guys are promoting a legal art form. No, we're promoting an art form, you know? It's not so much this thing where it's a bunch of kids tagging, you know. Now, graffiti is a youth art form, but at the same token, most people who are good at it are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s or older. You know, it takes a while to grow with it. And these things are all what make up what we do within SAGE. You know, we do our best to convey these thoughts, and that art can bring so much value to your life. You just have to accept it and let it in. It's not for the rich, it's not for the elite, it's for everyone, you know? That's the beauty of it. And I remember it was about 8 years ago. We were in Camden, New Jersey. It was this guy by the name of Smile, another graffiti artist that we were about to put down with our crew VS. And basically put down means he was about to gain membership into our crew. So the week of, that we were about to put him down, he passed away, right? You know, still to this day, I don't know the circumstances around what happened, but it kind of took us by shock, right? So we go down to Camden, and my boy Pro, who's also a member of my crew, and Pro's a crazy dude, you know? So he's like, Kasso, man, you gotta do a portrait of Smile, you know? What colors you need? I was like, all right, man, give me some reds, give me some blacks, give me some green, no, I'm sorry, not greens, give me some reds, give me some browns, give me some yellows, maybe some lavenders. He was like, hold up, Smile's a white dude. Why you need browns, reds, and yellows to paint a white dude? I was like, man, just get me the paint that I need, and let me do the rest, you know? So we out there for hours painting this wall. The portrait's starting to come to life. I remember some young kids came up, and I let them hold the cans, you know, letting them paint. It was cool. So about 3-4 hours in, the portrait starts to come to life. And Pro comes up to me, he's like, yo, it looked just like him. How the hell did you get that guy with those colors? And I had to give him a lesson in color theory. I was like, look, man, you know? I was like, look, man, we all made up of the same colors. The same colors I use to paint me is the same colors I use to paint you. It's just all different hues, you know? So you gotta look at it like that in life, you know? It's like being a big black dude in the graffiti scene, in the art world, I go into certain places, people are looking at me like, what the hell are you doing here? Because of the color of my skin, my stature, my size. But I expect that, you know? It gives you a chance to educate people. And if they're not willing to be educated, then just let them die off, you know? Don't waste your energy with them. So, you know what I mean? So, I was like, colors make up everything. We're all based around the same colors. You know, just different hues, you know? And he was like, I can't believe it, man, it looks just like him. I was like, well, yeah, man, you know, so maybe next time you look at someone of a different race, nationality, whatever, you won't just judge them on the way they look, but try to get a little deeper, you know, because like painting, life is made in layers. You know, if you're doing the paint with one layer, it's tend to be flat. But if you put a lot of layers on it, you may develop a masterpiece. And that's how we gotta look at society and everything we do. You can't approach it just one way. Even in the work we do in the community, you can't approach it just one way. We got gang members involved in our crew, because what better way to get to another gang member by someone who lived that life? But this gang member is now an artist, you know? So you can tell these kids like, hey man, instead of banging, how about you bang on these canvas, you know? Or bang on this wall. It's all about changing the ideas behind it, you know? And you know, it's almost like abstract expressionism, and that's kind of what I'm painting right now. So you just gotta kind of just let it flow and not be afraid, you know? So that's pretty much all I got to say, and I'm about to show y'all this piece. Like I said, it's quick, it's fun, and it's art. So here, oh, snap. There we go. All right, and that's my talk.